Today I want to talk about something a lot of people live with in silence. Something many think is just who they are, so they try to adapt to it instead of understanding it. I'm talking about social anxiety. And the reason I'm making this video is because there's so much misunderstanding around it. Some people reduce it to just being shy, others call it weak personality, and some say just don't care what people think, as if that's some kind of magic solution. Let's be clear from the beginning. Social anxiety is not just mild nervousness before speaking. It's not just being quiet. It's not just preferring to be alone. Social anxiety is a real anxiety response where your brain treats social situations as if they're actual threats, not symbolic threats, not small embarrassment, but real danger. And when that happens, your body reacts accordingly. Your heart races, your breathing changes, your muscles tense, your voice shakes, your hands sweat, you feel exposed, watched, judged. At the core of social anxiety is one central fear, the fear of negative evaluation, the fear that people will see you as awkward, incompetent, stupid, weak, or not good enough. And the fear isn't just about the moment itself. It's about what might happen after, that they'll remember your mistake, talk about it, judge you, reject you. Over time, this fear grows so strong that you start avoiding situations not because they're dangerous, but because your mind has convinced you they are. Psychologically, social anxiety runs on a very specific cycle. First, there's a situation, then comes an automatic thought, often so fast you barely notice it. Something like, I'm going to embarrass myself, or they'll notice I'm nervous. That thought triggers anxiety. Anxiety triggers physical symptoms, and then comes avoidance. You stay quiet, you leave early, you cancel plans. And the moment you avoid the situation, your anxiety drops. That relief feels good. But here's the problem. Your brain learns that avoidance saved you. So next time, the fear grows stronger. Social anxiety doesn't get worse because of social situations. It gets worse because of avoidance. Every time you escape, you teach your brain that you can't handle it, that the situation was truly dangerous, even when it wasn't. Here's something important to understand. Social anxiety is not weakness. In fact, many people who struggle with it are highly aware, sensitive, and thoughtful. They notice details. They read the room. They analyze everything. The problem is that this awareness turns against them. They overanalyze every facial expression, every pause, every word, and their mind automatically interprets neutral things as negative. Real change doesn't start by forcing yourself to suddenly become outgoing. It starts by understanding what's happening internally. Once you recognize that what you're experiencing is an exaggerated threat response, not reality, you begin separating feeling from fact. You can say, I feel judged, but that doesn't mean I am. One of the most effective approaches to treating social anxiety is cognitive behavioral therapy. It focuses on three main areas: changing thought patterns, gradual exposure, and skill development. First, your thoughts. The issue isn't people. It's the story you're telling yourself about what people think. You have to learn to question your automatic assumptions instead of immediately believing them. What actual evidence do I have that they'll laugh at me? What's the worst realistic outcome? And if that happens, could I survive it? Most of the time, when you break it down logically, you realize the catastrophe in your mind is far less dramatic than it feels. Second, gradual exposure. This is the turning point. There is no long-term solution without facing what you fear. But exposure doesn't mean throwing yourself into your biggest nightmare. It means creating a hierarchy of situations, from least scary to most, and working your way up. Maybe it starts with asking a store employee a simple question, or sharing a short opinion in a group. The key is staying in the situation long enough for the anxiety to peak and then naturally decrease. Because anxiety works like a wave. If you don't run, it rises, and then it falls. Over time, your brain relearns that the situation is not dangerous. Third, skill building. Sometimes part of the fear comes from feeling socially unprepared. Communication skills are learned. Making eye contact, speaking clearly, asking open-ended questions, listening actively. These are skills, not personality traits. And as your competence increases, your confidence naturally follows. There's another layer that's often overlooked: self-criticism. People with social anxiety tend to replay interactions over and over in their minds. They scan for mistakes, they magnify small imperfections, they ignore what went well. If your brain is trained to search only for flaws, it will always find them. That habit needs to change. After a social situation, instead of asking, "What did I mess up?" ask, "What did I handle well?" It's also important to separate your self-worth from your social performance. You are not your awkward moment. You are not your shaky voice. You are not your silence. Your value as a person is deeper than how smoothly you speak in a meeting. When you tie your identity to performance, every social interaction feels like a test of your worth. On the physical side, regulating your breathing can make a significant difference. Anxiety speeds up your breathing, which signals danger to your brain. Slow, controlled breathing sends the opposite signal. Relaxing your muscles, standing upright, and grounding your body can gradually reduce the intensity of the physical response. Now, let's be realistic. Social anxiety doesn't disappear overnight. It often develops over years. So rewiring your brain takes time. There will be days you feel progress and days you feel like you're back at the beginning. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're retraining patterns that have been reinforced for a long time. If your anxiety is severe, if it interferes with work, school, or relationships, seeking professional help is not weakness. Therapy has strong evidence behind it. In some cases, medication prescribed by a psychiatrist can temporarily reduce symptoms enough to help you engage in exposure and retraining more effectively. But here's the most important thing I want you to take away. Social anxiety is not your personality. It's not your identity. It's a learned fear response. And learned responses can be unlearned. Fear doesn't disappear before action. It decreases because of action. Small, repeated, uncomfortable steps. You are not broken. You are not alone. And you are not stuck this way forever. But change requires a decision to move forward while anxious, not after anxiety disappears.